Prior proper planning prevents piss poor performance. I would like to ask you, what do you use to plan for everyday life? Plan for a trip. If you're getting ready to do something by yourself or as a family, what kind of planning mechanism do you use to prepare for it? I've lived my whole adult life, nearly 37 years, by the 7 Ps, as we call it. Now, why would that be interesting to you? Because I think it's simple. If we can do it in the Marine Corps, pretty much anybody should be able to do it. You put a little thought into the process before you do something. Now, if you do that and you put forethought, some people might go as far as making a binder, writing a list, doing something wild. You don't have to do that. You'll be successful. Now, we have another thing we call Semper Gumby. Always flexible. Because we have to know Murphy's Law is going to kick in and we're going to have to turn around and change something up. We might get a flat tire on a long road trip, or, credit card might get hacked and you're in the middle of Montana somewhere. True story. Go to fill up first thing in the morning and bam, you've got a flag on your credit card. It's kicked down and you're 1,600 miles from home with a bunch of crap in the back of your truck. And you've got to figure out, what's my next step? We have to plan for those kind of things. I think most of you have to put thought into something when you're getting ready to do something out of the ordinary or out of your norm, i.e., you're going to go on a trip. What do? You grab a bag, you decide what clothes you're going to wear. If you're a minimalist, it might just be a backpack. If you are somebody similar to me, it might be throw a bunch of bags together and have everything possible in the kitchen sink to go on that trip. But how do you plan? How do you establish that? That's the important thing about the 7 Ps. You put a little bit of prior proper planning, and when you do that, you will not perform in a piss poor manner. Now, I've always kind of, probably as an adult, put a lot more thought into it, conditioned to do different things. But now that I've been retired for almost 15 years, I seem to use that skill more than I feel like I did when I was, in 22 years in the Marine Corps. Now I really think it out. Maybe it's because I'm getting older, and you kind of get concerned with not being stuck on the side of the road, especially with your spouse or your friends or your kids. You want to be ready for any type of situation. We can sit there and think about, tools that are under the back seat of our truck, or an extra belt, an extra serpentine belt. So if we blow a belt in the middle of nowhere, or like what happened a couple years ago, me and my stupidity and my adventurous side decided we left the fifth wheel parked back in Mesa Verde at the campground with our dogs in there, thinking, well, I'm just going to go out and explore the mountains for a little bit in southwest Colorado. Well, I have my phone with my map on it, like most people use. I've got the GPS on the truck if I really want to use it. And I also have a physical map that's, behind the back seat that I can pull out for any reason I take us into a place like that day that has no services. And, go to the hard map, look on that thing. I look at this route. We're looking at these beautiful mountains. I'm saying, babe, let's get up that mountain. And she's like, okay, I trust you. And I start following a 2-lane road to a logging road to a Jeep trail, and eventually came across a rock slide. But I saw tracks going across it, so why not? Yeah, just get across that stinking thing. And then I'm thinking, after the fact, hours later, we get to the top of the mountain, we start linking back into logging trails, we start seeing signed roads, and I'm like, okay, she's feeling a little bit more comfortable. It's starting to get dark. I carry everything in my truck to survive if we ever got stranded somewhere. But I'm thinking after the fact, did I properly plan for that? What if I'd have blown an axle? Now, my truck's 4-wheel drive, blow a rear axle, just throw it into 4-wheel drive, pull with the front wheels if I have to. But what if I had a major malfunction? Excuse me. if I had a major malfunction, one, we're in the middle of nowhere. We're going to be hiking to find the nearest place to make a call from. But the only thing that's going to get us out of there where we were, and I'm talking it's my Ram 2500. It's not a small truck. It's pretty heavy. But chances are we get stuck in there. Best case scenario is another beefed up truck that could pull that heavy pig around, or a tractor, or something of that nature. Well, we get back to the fifth wheel, and I'm sitting there going over that, and I had to apologize to my wife and say, I'm sorry, stressed you out. I might put you in a position that you were very, very uncomfortable. We don't want to do that, And yeah, it was exciting, but looking down an 800-900 foot rock face, or not a rock face, but basically a rock slide cliff, would not have been cool. I could have slipped and went over. So I think of those kind of things, and I'm sure you out there think about those kind of things. It might be very minimal. It might be not real detailed, but you probably put into it. Okay, we're going to take off. I'll fill the vehicle the night before. We're going to go on this road trip. Well, it might be rain, so I'm going to pack an umbrella, a rain jacket, or something of that nature. Well, maybe I'll just, throw a couple extra cans of food, or maybe some dehydrated food, or, well, if I got my dehydrated food, then I got to grab my camping stove, and I got to make sure I got full propane cans for that, or whatever I want to use to fuel it up. Well, then I got to make sure I got a couple of, eating utensils. Oh yeah, well, see, it just kind of, the thought process just kind of keeps going with itself. I'm interested. What do you use? Do you just kind of wing it? I got to admit, heading out to Montana this last September on our annual little trip, her and I was listening to her. Not her fault, it's my fault. And I normally have trips planned out way in advance. I have campgrounds set up. I have hotels ready, Airbnbs, whatever we're going to stay in. I always have food in the vehicle. I always have water in the vehicle. I have all my, keys to survival in there. But I said, we'll just swing it. And ironically, it was the day Charlie Kirk was killed. And we're driving across the 70, heading from Kansas into Colorado. And I said, hey, we'll just get a hotel in Lyman, Colorado. And then when we leave in the morning, first thing, we're just going to punch up to Jackson Hole, and I'll get us a place in Jackson Hole. And then I'll take you to see the Tetons. We'll go up through Yellowstone, and then where we were going in Montana before friends flew in, we'll be a lot closer. Well, what did I get for not planning? We get, from Lyman to Jackson Hole, there's some big crazy, and this is obviously the week before Memorial Day. And there ain't a place alive in Jackson Hole. So what do? Still take her to the Tetons. We get that photo off the highway. Can't really explore there. It's just getting late. We drive into Yellowstone. Nothing's open. Drive into West Yellowstone. Can't find nothing available. So then we drive to a place called Dillon, Montana. There was one room. And it just so happened that room number is the same number as our address. And I remember we got that hotel room. We got the next morning, headed to the B&B before her friends flew in, got the rental car out of Bozeman, and got out to our house, about 45 miles from where we had stayed the night before. And the minute we got there, I started planning the week and a half after we left there. I got everything lined up. I knew exactly when we'd be there within reason. I knew when we'd have to take gas stops. I started going back to my normal self, planning everything out, and probably pretty anal. My wonderful wife, that's how I got to say it. That woman is wonderful. But you know what? She likes the excitement of just, being on the edge a little bit, where I like to have that control. Career Marine. But what do you think of the 7 Ps? If you stayed all the way to the end, what do you think of the 7 Ps? Prior proper planning prevents piss poor performance. Do you use something similar? Let me know. I would like to know. I'm always willing to learn. And if you're interested in looking at some of my other videos, they'll be up here in one of these corners. And you can follow me at SpankyGibson71 on X. I would like if you would, share my videos. Follow me on Spanky Produces. I've also got my Spanky Produces clips. That's where I put all the shorts. Kind of listen to all those YouTubers out there saying kind of separate your videos. And, hey, tell me what you think of the 7 Ps. Appreciate it.